Welcome to Females in Fantasy, a podcast elevating the voices of women authors of science fiction and fantasy who write about kick-ass heroines. I am your host, Brianna Da Silva, and this is episode 8. Today we have a very fun conversation with my friend Joyce Chng, and we talk about a wide array of topics, including writing for different mediums, such as anthologies and RPGs, and the power of speculative fiction and imagination for making the world a better place. Before we dive into all of that, a quick reminder, if this podcast inspires you, it would really mean a lot to me if you took a few minutes to rate and review it on iTunes. It's a way of telling the iTunes gods that my podcast is worthy of their favor, and it helps new people find it. I currently have one review, and it's a very nice one, but I'm getting this little message on iTunes. If you go and you look on the podcast on iTunes, and it says, "We have not received enough ratings to display an average for this podcast." Sad face. Well, the iTunes doesn't have a sad face, but I do. So let's get enough ratings that it will at least give my podcast an average. That's a good first goal. Meanwhile, we've got a conversation to listen to. So without further ado, here's my interview with Joyce Chng. Welcome, Joyce, to the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm great, thank you.
How's the weather like over there in Singapore right now?
At the moment, it is fairly cooled. We had a rainstorm, so it's fairly cooled, comfortable, but I suspect it might get a bit humid.
Yeah, like that does go along with rain, doesn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't go with rain, well with rain, but I won't be surprised if it will be cooler, but slightly humid. So it's kind of strange.
Mm-hmm.
But because most people were enjoying it, so in Singapore.
It sounds like that would be kind of uncomfortable, like a little bit cooler, but also humid. But I don't know. I guess it's worse if it's hot and humid. So maybe that's not that big of a deal. Yeah. I think my least favorite thing is like really cold and humid. That's like the worst.
Yeah.
I get that a lot in the winter in Virginia. It's like really
Virginia. Okay.
Yeah.
I actually like cold weather.
Mm-hmm.
Because I spent about 7 years in Australia, so I like colder weather. I like cold weather. I never like hot weather. But I never like summer. Summer I just hate summer. Even Australian summer is pretty much disgusting, as it's very dry and hot. I have days when we had days when it's 39 degrees Celsius.
Mm-hmm.
Just like scorching hot. Everything melts. Yeah. Everything melts.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Including human beings.
Yeah. People are melting too.
There was one day I remember where I was literally opening up my fridge and sticking my head into my fridge because it was so hot. I was so desperate for cold air. So I was just opening my fridge just for cold air. It's just like,
yeah, that doesn't sound fun.
That doesn't sound fun. I have friends who are in other part of Australia, other Australian states, and how they cope with Australian summer is that they basically what they will do is that they'll freeze. They'll put their pajamas, the PJs or whatever in the freezer. And they'll wear it later. Wow. Yeah, I mean
that's actually pretty smart.
That's pretty smart, pretty extreme in my books.
That's hilarious.
If that works, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I mean that was like Australia. I mean it's weird. Most Australians will hit the beach once it gets hot. So it's like we'll swim.
That's nice.
That's nice.
That's nice when you got like the water to cool down and stuff like that.
But that's the one thing about Australia. They're sharks, great white sharks. God. Yeah, and Australia is a place where you get all the weird, strange critters.
Yeah, so I hear. I hear. All right, let's get to the rest of the into the like real interview now.
Okay. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get into writing and all of that?
Okay, I'm Should I tell me my age?
Only if you want to.
I'm not. Okay, I'm in my early 40s, and I started writing, well, basically when I was a kid.
Okay.
But I kind of went pro kind of like more than a decade ago. So it's like I'm fairly new to the thing, but I'm kind of 10 years into it. But
okay.
Yeah, but I write mostly science fiction and fantasy. And I enjoy writing science fiction and fantasy because I grew up liking science fiction and fantasy.
Naturally follows.
Science fiction and fantasy became my kind of like my shelter and my sanctuary when I was a kid because I was an only child. So I was pretty lonely and alone. So reading science fiction books and fantasy books gave me a chance to explore new worlds, and provide a safe place so that I can explore my own imagination. So I started reading things like books by Anne McCaffrey, her Dragon Riders of Pern, and it started from there. I started writing fan fiction, but by then I didn't know it was fan fiction until I got onto the net way after that. And I was writing fan fiction, but I was basically writing stories set in Pern. I was just playing around, just having fun, and I only started writing for real.
For real in quotes.
For real in quotes. In my late 20s. Early 30s. Then it started from then. I was writing more short fiction. And I debuted when I was 35 with my urban fantasy book, The Wolf at the Door. So I debuted fairly old, but I don't think it's old. I mean, everyone's saying that when you are 33 years old, I'm just going, wait until you get after 40 years old, honey. I mean, I debuted with my first book when I was 35. So I'm still writing. I'm focusing more on games writing. I'm doing RPG writing. So it's a different ball game in that you are playing in someone else's sandbox. You know the rules, you know the setting, but you need to love the game as well. So it happens that I love the game, so I enjoy creating the characters and so forth. So games writing is the same thing as writing, as in you get to create the world. You are world building. So you're also using your imagination, you're exploring, and there's a system. You're trying to push the limits as well within the whole entire sandbox, which is fine. So I also try to write my own short stories and poems. I do a lot. I'm basically a jack of all trades when it comes to writing.
Really, you are. You write so many different things.
Yeah, but I think I write mostly within the circumference of science fiction and fantasy, but I'm pretty much versatile. So, yeah. And encourage
cool.
And I encourage all writers to be versatile. Expand the horizons. Don't be afraid to try new things, to test yourself, to see that you're not only limited to writing, say, short stories. You can write novellas, novelettes, poems, as things that can at least allow you to try, exercise to train yourself to write, to hone your skills. I mean, the sky's the limit, to be honest, when it comes to writing. So,
Yeah, that's something that I'm kind of trying to push myself with more lately, because I've always been very like, I'm just always into like the long fiction the form of writing, but I'm really wanting to challenge myself to do more short fiction. I'm actually very possibly going to be working on an RPG game, which is interesting that you brought that up. Yeah, my
Sorry.
yeah, no, and so I might actually ask you questions about that later, because my some tips.
Some tips. I'm just fumbling around too as well, but I think
Well, so am I.
Yeah, just like, but you need to love the game first. I think you need to love the game first. Then you and if you love the world, then you have to you already love the world. Then you can enjoy making the world. Expanding the world. Yeah. And that's
well, I definitely do. So
yeah. You need to tell me what RPG is that.
Well, okay, so I can't say much about it right now, but basically, my brothers and I have a production company that has been kind of like, it's been sleeping for a while, and we're reviving it again. We're gonna be like working on it like almost pretty much full time coming like January 2019. And so we're exploring kind of I would say development for several different projects to kind of see which ones are viable, which ones we can do now. And there's one that is a game, and so my one of my brothers and I are like focusing on that right now, and kind of like exploring the story, looking more into like the technical aspects of what we want to do, see if it's something we can do. But I'm really hoping, because I'm really excited about it. It was actually a story idea I had originally as a novel, and then I realized, I was like, wait, this would work really a lot better as a game where you could like choose how the story goes, because it's the kind of thing where it could go in a lot of different directions. But yeah, that's all I can say about it right now, but it's in development, or I guess that's the film term. Well, I don't know what the equivalent of that is for gaming. Like we're not like creating it, we're like exploring the concept.
I think we still use the word
pre-scripting.
Like in development. So are you going to kickstart it or something? Kickstart?
What's that?
Are you going to kickstart it?
We're not at that point yet, but yeah, we may do that when we're ready to like, because we may end up needing to bring in like artists. But yeah, so we're still not entirely sure, like if it's going to be just text based or if it's. I want it to be graphics based. Gotta see what makes sense for it. So but yeah, it's super exciting. Yeah. So I'm actually
excited for you too. I'm like, thank you. Yeah. It's games writing, RPG writing is fun. I mean, it can be a bit stressful sometimes. I think it's fun at the end because you realize you have created a world from scratch, and you can allow people to come in, to play, which is the best thing. And it's like wow, So I'm basically for myself, I'm going to write werewolves for real now. So I'm going to write werewolves for real. So it's like, I'm going to be known as a werewolf lady soon.
Yeah, you do write a lot about werewolves, don't you?
Actually, that's a theme in my life. I love werewolves. I love werewolves. I mean, it's like, actually, I've done my thesis on werewolves, like lycanthropy, but no, I didn't.
Really?
No, I did my MA thesis on Joan of Arc instead, which is weird. But yeah, I'll talk more later about werewolf. But it's all werewolves, So I'm like, werewolves, RPG, yay! Yeah.
Yay! All the things you love.
All the things I love, yeah.
Okay, I have a question actually from one of my patrons. One of the things that I let them do is submit questions for the guest. So this is from Jordan. And Jordan asks, how do you think that speculative fiction lends itself to exploring real-world issues of gender and representation that other genres do not?
Wow.
I know, right? It's so deep.
I need to write a thesis on this. Sorry, that's great. Well, one thing about speculative fiction, it's the main word is speculative, right? We can speculate, and when you speculate, you envision something or some method, some strategies, or a world, and you can speculate. You can envision ways to explore gender, race representation in your own way.
Yeah.
What world do you want? Like my Twitter hater thing. What world do you want to see? How do you envision your worlds? What do you want to see? A world that everyone is more or less equal. Treat everyone with kindness and compassion, where the genders are respected, when all the races are respected. What world do you want to see? That's one I want to post back to Jordan and your listeners. What world do you want to see? What world would you like to see? What world do you want to live in? In a way, when we write, we can dream the world into being. Because when you write on paper or in Microsoft Word or Scrivener or any word processing program, you are bringing that world into being. And when people see these worlds, they believe that these worlds will possibly exist because you make them manifest. You know what I mean? So if you want to see a world where all the genders and races are treated equally, everyone is collaborating, everyone treat one another with kindness, with compassion, with care, then perhaps it will come true. Not in a broader, in the wider world, but within maybe in the community, in your immediate surrounding. So to me, writing is a kind of like a magic, like you wield your world into being. So if you're writing, you're speculating, how do you cope with gender? How do you look at real world issues like gender, race, representation, climate change? Perhaps you can write it down. How do you imagine? As many ways I can imagine. What, as I will go back to my question again, what world would you like to live in? That's what I want to post back to all your listeners. What world would you like to live in?
That's really good. I love that. There's like something so powerful too about sometimes when we become really used to the way things are and we're kind of like, oh, this is just how it is. And it's like, we can become complacent without meaning to be. But then like there's something about when you imagine a new world that for the first time people are able to think, oh, I guess it could be different. Like, and it becomes more empowering to like make the steps to make it different, to take the steps. And I love everything you said.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I agree with it wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
So, okay. I've got so many questions. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to all of them, but let's talk a little bit about your stories. So you've written a lot of different things, as we've alluded to. One of the things that's really, really cool is you've been a part of a lot of different anthologies.
Yes.
I'm just going to read a few of them out because some of their titles are really awesome. So there's The Sea is Ours, Tales from Steampunk Southeast Asia.
Yes.
There's Accessing the Future, a disability-themed anthology of speculative fiction, which I actually have on my e-reader. I just started reading it. I'm really excited about that one. Yay! Let's see. I'm scrolling through. There's another one that's like Where the Stars Rise, Asian science fiction and fantasy. And there are more, but I feel like that must be really cool to like be a part of this group of like a themed, a theme book of lots of different stories from different authors. So just wondering, like, what was that experience like for you? I think you were an editor for The Sea is Ours, correct? And then you like appeared more as like just like a featured author in the other ones. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So what was that experience like, being a part of anthologies compared to some of your other publishing experiences?
I think when I started appearing I started writing for anthologies or having my stories like published in anthologies. I think my feelings, my emotions will always be awe and surprised and amazement, because I'll be in the same like content, like TOC, right? The content, the table of content with people, with people whom I have like admired or encountered in the science fiction scene or community. People who are like more well known, like powerful, like really good writers, or like Nebula Hugo winners are together with me in the same anthology. What the like wow, like I'm not worthy to be part of it, part of the whole table of content, and etc. So it's always that feeling of awe and amazement, and a sense that I'm more, in a sense of gratitude, in a way that I'm given this opportunity to be part of this awesome project, to be part of this awesome anthologies, and the fact that the editors believe enough in me to put my stories in anthologies is it's a good feeling that the people out there are they bought my stories because they like my stories. Wow, that's like, do people actually like my stories? So I that's always my gut feel, that thing, that when I see my name together with other like bigger names, I'm like, oh my god, I'm with these people too. So you get that sense of awe, that sense of amazement. Yeah, that's how I feel about being part of anthology. As for C is ours. We are. I'm an editor, co-editor with Jaymee Goh, right? So in a way, to be the editors to go and look at the story and say, oh, we want the stories in, we want the stories out, and we actually debated for a long time. We had some stories where we did home and haw for a while before we actually made the final decision. That too is a very powerful feeling of we are part of something bigger. Yeah, we are in a way creating our own narrative too, because I think Jaymee and I, we had a strong sense of what we want to achieve for this anthology. So it's like a way, again, we are envisioning worlds again. We want to see what the way the world we want to see. For this case, we want to see Southeast Asian science fiction or steampunk. So our desire is strong, our intention was strong in the first place. So to be part of this something bigger is quite an awesome feeling. Yeah, I think it's interesting to be part of this entire like bigger picture thing. I can't describe it. Yeah.
That sounds really awesome.
Yeah.
What are there any barriers that you have experienced in publishing or that you've run into as a woman, as a Southeast Asian writer, or both?
Any issues? Let me let me list them. Let me list them all. No, actually, I think when I started, I can't say when I broke into the scene a while back ago, more than 10 years ago, I was like not a rare few, but there were not many Southeast Asian science fiction writers who are like actively writing, publishing, and submitting their works. Then, I mean, there were before there were like SP Somtao, Joanne Fong, she wrote Stars of Fire, but there weren't many known Southeast Asian writers on social media or internet who are known actively writing or pursuing. So being a kind of like Southeast Asian woman or femme identified person, it's not an easy thing, I believe. I think the reason why I'm still here is just sheer persistence, I think. Sheer persistence, sheer tenacity, and not just sometimes plain luck, I think. Plain luck. Just plain luck. I just able to be in publishing. And because I know that the more I don't think I qualify to be a pioneer or Southeast Asian or Asian science fiction, but I think for the first few who were able to get in, we allow many more to get in after that. We were the vanguard, so in a way. So after we managed to get in, I think it gave people more encouragement to write, to start pursuing writing. So I think that's great. I mean, but initially, as even now, being a woman or femme identified person or a Southeast Asian is not that easy. It's just, I think writing itself is not easy. I mean, the writing business itself is not easy. So it takes sheer guts, sheer tenacity, and a lot of self-belief to be in there. Because to be honest, I have experienced like many instances of self-doubt, imposter syndrome, and somehow or other I'm still here. I'm still alive. I'm still alive. I'm still hanging on because I know that I can write. And by now I'm strong enough to say that I'm not going to self-reject. So I'm still going to hang on, persist, and encourage more young women science fiction writers to step up to write, because we are waiting for a voice. We are waiting for our voices. Yeah. Yeah.
That's inspiring.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Yeah. So what are some stories that you have that have come out recently or that are about to come out? Like what's new for you right now in publishing?
Okay. I have, for last year, 2017, I have 2 space opera books that came out about the same time. One is called Water into Wine. Water into Wine is where it basically explores love, identity, family in times of war.
Okay.
And the protagonist is a trans man who has a family, and at the moment in the story they have inherited a vineyard from the grandfather. So you can read if you're interested. It's about wine, vineyard, think space opera, but seen from the eyes of common people.
Okay.
It's not just exploding starships and politics. It's just people who are affected by war and trying to survive during war. Okay, and the second book is they call it Werewolves in Space. It's basically werewolf space opera. It's
no surprise.
It's no surprise. It's called STARFANG, Rise of the Clan. And for this one, it has starships, exploding starships, and a lot of politics, to be honest, and a female captain, a female werewolf captain.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And if your readers are interested, they can find out more about it. I can't tell you more. It just involves a lot of politics and chasing. She's just hunting her prey across the galaxy. Yeah. That's all I can tell. That's all I can review.
Awesome. I can also put links to this in the show notes, so if people are more interested, they can easily look it up.
Yeah, okay. And now what I'm working on next to my werewolves is a young adult fantasy that is soon to be out in Scholastic Asia. So I submitted my edits. So I suspect more edits are coming my way soon. So I'm just waiting for. I think the second half of this year will be a bit busy. So yeah, I mean I'm crossing my fingers. Hopefully that the book will be out soon. Ish.
Yeah. It's soonish. Well, we'll be looking forward to that.
Yay.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today.
No worries.
How can people find you online if they want to keep up with you?
They can find me on Twitter at Jolantru, JOLANTRU. That's my Twitter name. Or they can look for me on Patreon. The same thing again, Jolantru. I'm very boring. So
consistency is good.
Consistency is good. Yeah, I run on common team. So they can look for me there, and I have a web page / blog called A Wolf's Tale. It's basically a wolf's tale.wordpress.com.
Okay.
Yeah. So they can look for me there as well. But I hang out mostly on Twitter as well. So if they want to look for me on Twitter, they can just send me a message or just add me. I'm always open to talk.
That's cool. Like, you and I are both like Twitter addicts, I think.
I'm trying to cut down, reduce time because I have more things to do now. But I think the one thing about Twitter is that you are able to interact with people from across the world. Yes. And you get to meet other people, which is fine. Yeah. But
which is how we met.
That's how we met. Yeah. Just minus the politics and all the news at the moment. So I think at the moment what I'm trying to do is just hang out in my own corner of the sandpit. And just hang out with my friends, and that's it. That's the only thing I can do. The wider Twitter world is too gnarly at the moment, too like complex at the moment.
Yeah, it can get really overwhelming.
Yes, it can be pretty tiring, exhausting, just to digest everything at the same time, which is not easy. So it's not really, our brains can't really do that. Like we're not like best at like digesting all that kind of information and emotion. No. Like it's better to just be like, all right, we're really good at like, keeping up with like a smaller group of people. So like if we're online, it's better to kind of sort of replicate that because our brains will get overwhelmed. To be honest,
it can be depressing. It's like, the world's terrible.
Terrible.
But it's like,
no, it's not
too
terrible.
Much
it's not actually not that terrible. I think
it feels that way when you see like all the things happening all over the world, right? Like that's not like, we can't like intuitively process that because it's too much.
So that's why I kind of like limit myself to like, in the morning, I limit myself to 4 hours, at least 2 to 4 hours. Then I have a break in between. So it's like I'm working, right? It's a work day for me. So I work within 3 to 4 hours. That's my limit. Then I stop for a while. I turn off Twitter. I will do other things like housework. Or I'll mop the floor. I'll cook. I'll water my plants. I will play with my cat. I will look after my children. And that's how I can do. I have that much brain space and capacity to do with that many things. So it's like, so I try to limit myself to at least 3 to 4 hours social media time. I try. The keyword is I try. So So I think one thing about social media is that it's true you can get to interact with people, but you do need to have your own time. Yeah. Self-care is important. Eating is important. Drinking water is important.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sleeping is important. Yeah.
That too. When you're like using social media way late at night, it can be harder to sleep. So.
Yeah, I know. It's like, so, yeah.
Self-perpetuating cycles.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will let you go.
Okay, no problem. And thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
That was my conversation with Joyce Chng. I have placed links to the books that we talked about in the show notes if you want to go look those up. If you want some more Joyce Chng shenanigans, head on over to patreon.com/femalesinfantasy to become a patron for extra content, including a very wolf-packed game I played with her, and I am all too proud of that pun. You can stay in touch on Twitter at femalesinfantasy, and that "in" is just the letter N. Didn't have enough space to actually spell that out. Or you can follow me at Brianna_Da Silva, or drop me a line at femalesinfantasy@gmail.com. Once again, if you like what I'm doing, please rate and review this podcast on iTunes. That would be awesome of you. Keep your eyes peeled for an episode in 2 weeks featuring Rebecca Roanhorse, author of Trail of Lightning, an indigenous Mad Max monster hunting story coming out later this month. This has been Females in Fantasy. I am Brianna Da Silva, and I'll catch you next time.